Hey Kids Ministry team, back at it for another Huddle video. Thanks for everybody who came to the prayer and worship night just last Thursday. We had a great time, and it's always like my favorite time in the world to get together as a team and really grow in our ability to affect kids' hearts for Jesus. So thank you. I would really encourage you to all the things that we discussed on that Thursday. I would encourage you to start implementing them. To keep the conversation going with your team members, with your coaches, with your team leaders, to continue on growing and implementing the strategies and the different practical tips and skills that we talked about during the training night portion of the prayer and worship night. So if you happen to miss it, that's okay. Just go ahead and talk to somebody who did go. Somebody maybe in your classroom of like, man, what are some basically post-training discussion things that we can get involved in to try to still glean some of the wisdom and information from it. So thank you so much for that. If you served at prom a couple of weeks ago, thank you for that as well. We have another event coming up for the special needs ministry, and everybody's invited to. There's no obligation to do this. You don't have to serve in special needs even to do this, but I wanted to throw out the invite just in case anybody wanted to. We have quarterly events. They're respite events, and they're called Breakaway. And what we do is we invite everybody at Traders Point, all the families that we serve that have kids with special needs. It's a time where they just get to go and drop off their kid at church and then just have a night out. They get to go take a date, they get to have some time away, and we get to have some very specific trained basically people like kids ministers, because it's tough to find any babysitter if your kid has special needs sometimes. We find that these families just need a break and need a rest, so it's our way of serving that community. So Breakaway is going to be happening on 11:30, so November 30th. It goes from 6:30 to 9:30, and it is at the Northwest campus. So we don't have it here at North. All the Traders Point families are going to drop off their kids at Northwest, enjoy a night out on the town, and then we just get to have a blast with them. So we're going to have some videos, we're going to show some movies, we're going to play at the park. I mean, it's going to be a blast. So if you would like to join that, there are going to be North families that will go, and I know that we don't have all of the buddies yet lined up to go with them. So if you're open on that evening of November 30th, we would love to have you join us. Just go ahead and reply to this email and let me know that you're in. I'll send you all the information that you need to know. And then in elementary, this week and next week, we have something very special planned. We're going to wrinkle it up, okay? Throw a wrench into things. But we're going to try something new to try to see what it looks like to engage kids differently during the large group experience. So if you serve in the grades 1 through 6, classrooms, this is going to be for you, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to start the service in small groups, all right? And this is kind of cool. What we're going to do is we're going to start in small groups, and then we're going to go into the large group experience as a small group, okay? Stick with me, we got this. And then we're going to sit into small group, and then what we're going to do is kind of a large group teaching time, and then a small group activity. And then a large group teaching time, and then a small group activity. Large group teaching time, small group activity. Versus what we used to do, and we're just trying this out just for fun. We're going to see how it works. Thanksgiving kind of provides a opportunity to throw a loop into things and see how the effectiveness works. But what we usually do is go to the large group for 40 minutes, and then small group for about 20, 25, 30 minutes. So we're going to break it up and put them in between to try to engage kids a little differently. Because we got to keep throwing different things at kids, man. I tell you what, to keep them on their toes, make sure they're engaged and attentive. So let me know how this works. Would love to know from all the elementary team members, team leaders, coaches, how it's working, what you might think went well, what you think went bad. But basically what you'll have to do as a small group leader is make sure to bring all of your supplies to the small group. Okay, that's going to be important. To sit together, bring all the supplies already there, then you're going to go through it all and then into that cadence. So there you go. That's going to happen this week on the 18th and then next week on the 25th. All right, so that's for elementary only. Everybody else, same sort of cadence of your order of service. We're going to dive in back to the top 5 goals for kids ministry. And once again, our goal and our mission and our vision as a kids ministry is to help kids experience Jesus at their level. And how do we do that? What does that practically look like? Well, a lot of times, like reaching a child's heart, that's not on us. We can't control what God does in the life of a kid. But what we can do is remove as many barriers as possible to make God doing his thing possible, right? To remove the barriers that we sometimes put up as a human society, remove them so that kids would know who Jesus is. So these are the 5. If we do these 5 things, we're going to maximize our opportunity to allow kids to experience Jesus at their level. Modeling Christ-like character, always pointing to Jesus, is what we talked about a couple of weeks ago in the Huddle video. Today we're going to be talking about what it looks like to be consistent, and then also be relational, and finally keep it safe. So those are the 5. Today let's look at being consistent. What does that look like? It's more than just being consistently present. We always say that the number one quality of any kids ministry team member, it is not parental prowess. It is not childhood development expertise. You don't have to have a degree. You don't even need to be a parent. You don't need to be a parenting expert. The number one quality of what it takes to lead kids is to be consistent. That's it. That's the biggest thing. If we consistently show up and we personally care for a child, all we need to do, our presence speaks volumes. Far before we could know all the things in the world about the Bible, we could know all the things about applying it to our lives. Being consistently showing up in a kid's life, that's how we communicate that we care about them. And kids will pick up on that. So a couple of things, though, that are practical of ways we can implement this. So being consistent, and talk about this with fellow team members, talk about this with your team leader, about ways, if you have any challenges for some of these consistency things, we would love to bring those up in your classrooms and talk to your team leader or coach about that. See what barriers might be removed for you so that you might be able to serve more consistently. And so what does that look like practically? One is just being ready, being consistently available, and being well informed before you even set on foot on a Traders Point campus. So this means you have already looked in Planning Center to see what we're going to be teaching about. If you're in the nursery maybe and you have babies but you don't yet have curriculum, are you prayerfully looking at what your spiritual walk looks like? Are you praying for the child before you even go in there by name? Are you praying for your other team members, the families, whatever that might be? Are you coming informed of all of the safety protocols, that type of thing? I mean, it kind of blends in on all these. Are we informed and are we ready? Are we prepared? Are we consistently ready to serve? That's a big one. Another one would be consistently willing to grow. So consistency isn't just showing up, but it's doing more than that as well. It's consistently learning how you can get better, how you can grow as a person, how you can deepen your wells of discipleship with Jesus, how you might grow closer to him personally, and then how you can grow in your effectiveness in communicating to others. None of us have this all figured out. No matter if you have 12 kids, no matter if you're on staff at a church, no matter if you've been following Jesus for 80 years, nobody has it figured out. We can all learn from each other. So consistency, part of that is just being consistently hungry, consistently humble to learn and grow. So what this practically would look like, constantly ask your team leader, hey, what can I be doing better? What are some areas that you think I can grow in? What are maybe some of the 2 or 3 things I should stop doing because they might be unintentionally putting up barriers in a kid's life? And then third, just recognizing what our presence does to kids and families. So that's a big one too. Just our consistency. If you know what it does, if you're a parent, you know what it's like to drop off your toddler and know the people you're dropping them off with, the comfort, the ease that goes with it. And when they can communicate that they're in good hands and they're going to learn about Jesus, oh man, that's awesome. Versus going into a place for the first time, it's incredibly difficult. If you would just even imagine if you were in a group and you had a different group leader every single week, how hard would that be to build trust and develop a relationship and get to know what that classroom experience is? It'd be really, really long. But the more consistent we are, the more we create an atmosphere for kids to feel safe, to build trust, to develop relationships, and ultimately experience Jesus on their level. Love you guys. See you on Sunday.